Hello everyone. If you want to go to my free course, type henry-ward.co.uk into Google, then go to Henry Ward Trading, and then this here is my free course. Click on Start Today. If you want to go on to the webinars that I do every Sunday and every Wednesday, click on Trading Academy and then click on Start Today. So this is the Trading Academy. This is the full training, the webinars, direct access to me, everything that you want. Hello everyone, how are you? Hope you've had a good week trading so far. So gonna have a quick look at the commodities and see how they are running compared to the likes of the stock market and the likes of the FX market. So we took this trade short off this horizontal here. So we're on cotton. So we took cotton short off that level and it came back, hit this floor, a ceiling, and then came back down. Again, we have that horizontal there. Now it broke that floor and it's had a pretty sharp rejection since then. Now, one of two things is going to happen here. You'd expect it to either hit this weekly or monthly trend. So that's the overall weekly sort of monthly trend is here. So we want to know, is this just a daily phase 2, or is it going to go back and hit the weekly sort of / monthly trend up here? So that's one question. Or is this going to go back and hit its head here as a double top? Now that is probably the most likely of them to come back, hit its head here, and then when it hit its head here, we'd expect that to come back down. And there, that is what I would expect to happen on the likes of cotton. I know cotton is very seasonal, so we need to check the seasonal, what's happening there as well. Does it historically get stronger or weaker? But again, it's only one indicator that we sort of need to be looking at as well in conjunction with what's going on. Okay, so cotton hitting that'll be 1 touch, 2 touches, and this will be the 3rd touch. It comes up here, and as we can see, if we look at price action, we can see that it's starting to slow down. So we had a bullish day, then we had an inside day, and then today we've had no movement yet whatsoever. So ideally, we'd like to see 2 more bullish days and then have a nice small price action bar, like so this one here, nice little small price action bar, and then we'll look to short that again. Coca, it didn't quite play ball. We wanted Coca to come down to this floor, and then when it hit this floor, we would have taken it along. And look, it's after having a little bit of a jump to the upside over the last 3 or 4 days. But if we have a look at Coca overall, it is a pretty sideways market. It is moving within a particular range, and it's broken out of that range, and it's now jumping into, say, this bigger one. Okay, so what we would sort of expect in this particular scenario is whether this is actually a real breakout or whether it's a fake out will happen. Will that come back the whole way back down to there, or will it come back to here and then hit this ceiling? Okay, so that would be the 2 sort of scenarios we'd expect to happen on that particular one. There, or pop to the downside here. I'd expect it to hit sort of one of those, and depending on what sort of momentum. Now, if we're looking at what's after happened in the last week, or even the last month, we have a phase 1 here, a phase 2, and a phase 1. So you would expect this to happen. But the problem is it's sideways. It gives you cycles all the time, and then it breaks them. Cycles breaks them. So can we trust this? Not really. But if it comes back down to that level, there's a potential buy there. Sugar. Now, sugar, we were looking at this long right here. We had a breakout similar to the likes of Coca. We had a breakout. We wanted to hit here and then bounce to the upside, and it never triggered us in. Okay, it just continued to come down, so never triggered us in. Going to get rid of that there. delete. Now we're in a very, very similar position again that it's touching. Now, if we're looking at this, we would probably expect this to come back down. We'd probably expect this to come back down. So we had a bullish bar, the market opens here, and then was another bullish bar. So it looks like there are more buyers here, but what happened is in the pre-market, it opens down here, drop lower, and then push back up. But we are at a level for sellers to jump in here. Now, if we're looking to take this trade, we do have to put our stop loss above this high. Now, as we can see that this has been a bullish day and the bar is opened up here. So the probability of us being triggered into this trade is quite slim. Now, if we're looking at this as a take profit, I'd be looking to take profit somewhere around there, which would be 1.7 to 1. I don't want to go too close to these lows. Look at the wicks, they stop here. So I want to make sure my take profit is inside that. So there's where I would put sort of my take profit on this, in that sort of region. But again, it's not something that's massively jumping out of me, but we do have sort of this triple top here, entry below the bar, stop loss above the previous high, and we're looking for this to drop again. So palladium, we did have a sideways, a sort of a channel, and then we got a massive breakout of the channel. And then this happens quite regularly. We take a break and retest. Okay, we get a break and retest. And then at this particular point, we'll look at drop down again. So it's now hit this floor. So let's see where this level has come from. So we can see that we have a pretty decent floor through here. So we've had 1, 2, 3 touches, 4, 5. So we are back at this particular point. If we look at this, we do have a lot of momentum to the downside. So for us to take this long, we have to be quite bullish on this. We have to be really confident that this is going to go up. We need to be really confident of what our trading is here. So again, is this strong enough to bounce back up? And looking at the position of the market, probably not. Also, we have a really big bar. So we don't have a nice little small entry. We have a really big bar. So entry is above that there. And we want our stop loss just below that level. So I need it below the floor, just in case it comes back, double bottoms, and then takes off. And then our take profit, I would sort of have it inside that. Let's look at that higher level. Yeah, absolutely, we have it inside that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 touches, 9 touches. Absolutely make sure that that is inside that ceiling there. So if we're taking this is a 1.12 to 1. So we're not looking for anything more than that. So that's if we're looking to take that trade. But again, this is a pretty big bar here. So it hasn't been ideal. We probably missed the ideal entry, which was here, and you'd be back at break even right this second if you'd have taken that one. Copper was a darling child for us. We traded copper quite well for a long period of time. We traded massively through this whole upward trend, this trajectory, when EV cars were taking off. We're mining and digging up copper was going through the roof. We had a huge run, but since then haven't touched it, haven't gone near it. Why? Because the demand for copper has dwindled, and it has gone sideways since. Now, the last time we looked at this, we talked about a potential wedge shape happens here, or a descending triangle, and we're looking for a breakout. So with descending triangles, there's a breakout potentially in 2 different directions, one to the downside here, or one like this one to the upside. Now, this one didn't really give us a great entry here. Didn't give us a great entry. We would have liked it to come back and hit this floor again. It didn't. It sort of moved sideways, and then 2 days ago we had a pop to the upside. But again, are we looking at this to trade? No. Stay away from it. I would probably expect it to come back down because we did have a pop. We had a huge bar there on copper, so we had a big day in copper. You would have expected the next 2 bars to be bullish as well, and it hasn't happened. So I'd fully expect this to come back into this area again. I don't expect this to continue. I expect it to come back down into this area and then see from there what happens when it comes back to this floor here. But the overall trajectory here is a downward trend. So I probably expect it to break this floor as well at some point. Platinum. So platinum and palladium are 2 precious metals that we trade quite regularly. Platinum is quite different. Platinum actually has an upward trend. We have cyclicity. These lows have actually got higher. These highs have got higher. Where palladium, it hasn't. Okay, so at this present moment, we've had this little run to the upside. And what we'd like to see happen here is we have a double top. Get that level nice and straight. And bring it across. Look at that there. We have a double top. So I'd like this to go up a little bit higher. And then come back to there. And then at that particular point, to there. So that's what we'd like to see happening on this. We have this really sort of not so relevant trend line. You could argue, but Henry, if I move that trend line here, it touches. Okay, there's not really a trend line there. You have to chop off those bars to get one, so I'm not a big fan of it. So for me, I'm going to remove it. So I'm not a big fan of it there. But we have broken the ceiling. So I'm looking for a break and retest. If I get a break and retest, that for me there looks like a decent trade to the upside. Sorry, wrong way. And generally when this goes, we do have some nice movements. So here from this low up to there, then we had a nice movement here and again here. So we are moving in a correct direction. So there is a potential little movement to the upside on this. So get out the season calendar and actually have a look and see, is this seasonality? Is this actually generally a good season? Or is this a bad season historically for what's going on? Wheat. So wheat, we had this nice little trend happening, quite lovely, and then we had a big spike and a big drop. So for me, wheat is one of these things that we sort of stay away from. With the war going on, with the production coming from Russia and Ukraine being the biggest suppliers of wheat, well, Ukraine being one of the biggest suppliers of wheat, it's sort of stay away from it at the minute. It's pretty flat. It's not really trending at the moment. Just sort of stay away from it. It's not something that jumps out at us. Natural gas. And I took this trade here. Well done. This limit order on the back of this here went up very, very quickly, went up and hit it 3-1 for us. And anyone who kept it running, it actually went up the whole way to 7.8 to 7.9. We'll just put it back at 3-1. We won't be greedy. They're back at the 3-1. And it's got really close to this level here, look. And all of a sudden, the sellers jumped in, which is absolutely to be expected. We have a pretty decent level there. So we have 1 touch, 2, 3, 4. Also, you could argue that there's a smaller double top there at this particular point. Right there as well. And the question is now is where is this going? Is there more bullish momentum in gas, or is it selling momentum? So there is a phase 1, 2, 1, 2, and are we now getting the next phase to the downside? Is that a sell position right there? Your stop loss would have to go above there. And my take profit would probably be around there. May even be the other side of that level. And look, just to get a 1-to-1 out of it, just to be safe. Again, is this the best trade in the world? Nope. Why? Because the market is not massively trending. We do have a sideways market here. It is bouncing between those sort of levels, but we have highlighted areas that we do get rejections. And this here is an area where we get rejections. And we know that trading this over a long period of time, we have seen big rejections on these levels. Whether it's a horizontal, whether it is a trend line, or whether it's double tops, double bottoms, it seems to be respecting them quite well. Now, you could argue that this is the left shoulder, this is the head, this is the right shoulder, and it's going to break the neckline. You could argue that, absolutely. You could argue that this is phase 1, 2, 1, 2, and this is phase 1 to the downside, absolutely. But once you can argue those things, this is not really where we should be trading. We should be trading where the markets are clear, concise, straightforward, to the point, and not affecting you in any way, shape, or form. Over onto oil, and I know some of you guys were looking at this as an inverted head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and I know some of you guys took this on the smaller time frame here. If I drop down to the 4 hour, and I know some of you guys took that here off that sort of movement there. Bounce, 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 came back, retested it, and then took it to the upside. You could have taken it sort of off this horizontal level either. Historically, came back again there. Depending on which of these two that you took, where one would be a winner, one would be a loss. But anyone that took that one there, well done. Really nice trade. Entry there, stop loss below this bar, and then look, it took off to the upside. Well done, anyone that took that. The more conservative traders of you guys, I know you didn't take that, and that is absolutely no harm whatsoever. It wouldn't be of a trade that would meet your rules as of yet. Why? Because we don't really have a trend here, do we? We don't really have a trend going on here. We did have an overall downward momentum. Then we had the low, we had a higher low. Now we have a double top. Does this mean that this is now going to drop again? And with the short consensus, probably. Probably. Do I have my stop loss there? Do I put it there above the horizontal? Do I put above that high here? As a trader, I probably put it there and try to get quick in and out of this. And look where the 3-to-1 is, just inside his previous low. Am I quite happy that, am I of the mind that oil should continue dropping? Oil has been dropping since June. So for the last 5 months, that's been going down. Or is this the bottom? And this is now starting to turn. The problem is that we never know that yet till it makes a higher high and then comes back and retests. So we have to make judgment calls at this particular point. And this one here looks pretty decent. Overall momentum's down. We did have a double hop. The only question mark is this one here. Is this one here. Does that now mean there's more momentum to the upside? Very quick look at the US indices. So we talked about the NASDAQ going long off this floor. I put my stop loss below this low here, entry above there, and we were triggered in yesterday. Now, is this a high probability trade? Not at all. We're going against the trend. Absolutely against the trend. But some people would have taken that. Some people would have put a limit order on it. If you put a limit order on it, you're probably at a 1-to-1 already. Well done. So let's see if we put a limit order, probably would have had your order there on that low. Bring that down to where price is now. You're exactly 1-to-1 up. Well done if you took that. If you're a little more conservative and only jump in on the top of the bars, you're in a slight little bit of profit at the moment. But again, no one really knows whether this is going to play out. And I'll pop this up to a 1-to-1. So 1-to-1 is just inside there. So is this trade good enough for us to be taking a 1-to-1? Probably not. Probably what? Stay away from it. Again, we were looking at the S&P. So we looked at the S&P as in this is the left shoulder, that's the head, this is the right shoulder, and we never got triggered in here. Look. Brilliant. That's exactly what we want. When we're taking trades and it's completely wrong, we don't ever want to be triggered in. Absolutely. Now let it play out. The next thing we're looking for here is a double top. And if I hit that double top, then we'll potentially look at it short again. But the big red flag here was this is a low, this is a higher low, higher low. So are we getting now a little bit of upward momentum on this? And if we look at the Dow, could have potentially taken that there off this one. Could have moved up a little bit higher. Bounce and retest. Okay, but again, it's not something that's hugely jumping out at me. Anyone that took that as a long, there. Stop loss below it. And put in a 1-to-1 on this. You put in a 1-to-1, you would have hit profit on this. Well done. Put it up just inside that there. And let's see what today brings in this market. Again, on this particular one, we do have an overall trend line here. Let's see what's going on here. Look, we do have bounce, 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 bounce. So is this a point where this is going to drop now again? Or this is a low and this is a higher low. Do we now have an upward momentum? Which would be lovely to see, wouldn't it? And quickly run through the German DAX. German DAX came back and actually retested the trend line here from the upside, or this sort of soft level we have through here. And it took that trade. Well done. It wouldn't have been something that jumped out of me. That's more of a 4-hour trade here than a daily. French CAC. Again, we wouldn't have taken that trade. UK 100. Interestingly, it went up and hit this and it had a rejection, whereas the other markets are all bullish. China 50. And for me, I needed to come back up into either of these levels here before I'm looking to short it. And then the Aussie 200. So that trade is still there. That one that we placed, it was a huge stop loss. So I probably wouldn't have taken it because of that reason, but the trade is still available, it's still there. And lastly, the Japan 225. And look, again, we've now broken that high. We've again broken that high. So it looks like there's a little more upward momentum on the likes of this. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for jumping in on board. Hope you all have a lovely evening, and I will speak to you on Wednesday.